Good afternoon, beloved Master Tanaka. Good afternoon. I am Master Kwan Yin, and I come here to have this conversation with the Master, right? Because there are many energies being conducted to this house, and this energy bring a change in the electromagnetic field of everyone who attends to this house. Okay, Master? And this electromagnetic change, it can, yes, bring benefit to all these beings. But for this electromagnetic change, which brings this change to these beings to be conducted in a more adequate way, it is necessary that all of them start to affect in themselves the awareness of how they make this electromagnetic change in themselves. We know that they all perform the Kwan Yin technique, each one in their own way, and I, Master Kwan Yin, with gratitude, observe this. I respect, yes, the way each one does it in themselves, the Kwan Yin technique, because the Master himself knows that the Kwan Yin technique is, I will say, it is not rigid. It is done in an open way. It allows each being to adapt the technique to their energy, to their consciousness. And through this consciousness, they start to perform the Kwan Yin technique. When those beings who are within a pattern and begin to perform the technique only within a pattern, I say to the Master that these beings, they are wanted to do as if it was an adequacy of their being to this pattern, and they determined that it is the Kwan Yin technique. But when they do this in this way, I say to the Master, there is electromagnetic field that is present here so that they all can enjoy the energy of the house. It doesn't surface mutation, it doesn't surface this adequacy that is possible for them, because these beings have determined that the Kwan Yin technique can only be performed in one way. And this form, in which they determine it, is not yet within their own form. That is why I, Master Kwan Yin, say, the Kwan Yin technique is democratic. The Kwan Yin technique is open to everyone. Why? Because the Kwan Yin technique actually it adapts to your energy level. And when it suits your energetic level, you open yourself to the Kwan Yin technique. But the Kwan Yin technique is broad, it is expansive. And when you, through this adjustment that you made in your electromagnetic field, you accepted the Kwan Yin technique through your innate feature. It begins to expand, it starts to act in you because you accept the technique. So the technique starts working on your electromagnetic field. There is no imposition of the Kwan Yin technique. You are not imposing the Kwan Yin technique, you are enjoying the Kwan Yin technique. That's why this consciousness is very important for all of you. Because when you define that Kwan Yin technique has a pattern, you are forcing yourself to this pattern. And when you bring guidance, I will say primary of how is the Kwan Yin technique, it is for all of you to have a confidence that you are performing the Kwan Yin technique. That's why these primary movements are brought to all of you. But when you have a consciousness, because it has already been explained to you that these primary movements are like an introduction to the Kwan Yin technique, you, through your own knowledge of your electromagnetic field, you begin to make adequacy to the Kwan Yin technique. But what does this adequacy mean? It only means that you are accepting the Kwan Yin technique into your being, not that you are imposing a form to do it. It isn't. The Kwan Yin technique is always expansive because it is her characteristic, and no human being has the power to change the energy of the Kwan Yin technique, because the Kwan Yin technique is within the energy of the universe. It is the energy of God. So everyone who accepts the Kwan Yin technique, it is active because it is the energy of God. So it will act on each one of you because you have accepted the Kwan Yin technique. But when you perform the Kwan Yin technique within a rigid pattern, and this rigid pattern for you means mandatory, you do not accept the Kwan Yin technique. So, matter how much you perform these primary movements, nothing happens in your electromagnetic field. And that is what you should watch out for. But you will say to me, but Master Kwan Yin, so how will I do this technique? It's not that I'm telling you do not do these movements anymore. Of course, they can be conducted. If these movements are comfortable for you, you should do them. But how will you accept the Kwan Yin technique? When you accept that you are children of God, and so you do the Kwan Yin technique with this joy, then you accept the Kwan Yin technique in your being, and then regardless of the way you are performing the Kwan Yin technique, you'll be active in you. You can, yes, perform through the movements. You can, yes, perform in a particular way. It won't matter because you've already accepted the Kwan Yin technique in you. So the Kwan Yin technique will be active. So today, Master, I brought this guidance because I observed that many of the beings who have already taken the course of the Kwan Yin technique, are doing it within a very rigid pattern, within this obligation, and this is not the energy of Kwan Yin technique. So with love, with respect, I say goodbye. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.